Okay, composition one. We're now on week 8. As you know, there is no midterm, so you are probably focusing on studying for other classes. But the way Chungnam usually works is we continue to lecture throughout the midterm break. I would like it if we had a midterm break, but it's not really up to me. And we need to get our 15 classes in before summer vacation. So let's keep going, right? Remember, we are going to have an extra day at the end of the semester because we did technically start on Monday, even though it was a holiday. So those of you who are in the Monday class, the first composition class, we do get an extra day at the end there. Friday class is just as usual. So where we are right now, I'm working away at getting your papers done. I've processed a few of them. It is midterm week, so I haven't been able to get all my work done for various classes. I do have midterms in 5 other classes. So bear with me while I finish that up and send you back your grades. Now, as you're being patient about that, please also be patient about other things like lighting and location. I managed to do 5 lectures in one day. This is number 6. I'm starting to lose my voice, as you can tell, and I'm in my home base. The other 5 were at my office. Some of these things are not ideal. I realize that. We can't control the sound and the visuals as much as we would like to. It would be nice to be in the classroom and then I would just be able to talk directly to you. But we're not. So there are some things you have to tolerate, okay? This is not a perfect studio. If we did have those perfect studios, probably you'd never come to university ever again. So we're probably not going to build them. We would like you to come to the classroom. In the classroom, there are distractions. Sometimes the window is open and it's a beautiful spring day and a helicopter flies by, or a heavy truck delivers something, or somebody rides by on a bicycle and shouts some rude words, and it carries into the classroom and it interrupts us. That's what real classes are like, all right? And we just pause and wait until it goes away, or I shout for a little bit and you miss something, and then whatever, we move on, okay? There's a couple students that mentioned something from my video. I think it was actually from a conversation video, but seriously, you have to be a little tougher than that. Just by chance something goes by the window and it doesn't ruin the class, you missed 30 seconds, then just send me an email and say, Professor, what were you saying when the noise was there? I didn't catch it. Then I'll email you back. That's it. No reason to file a complaint like it's some kind of big deal. This is actually what it's like in real class. We have real conversations and things happen that are unexpected. Yeah. So anyway, my recorded lectures tend to be more like real life lectures anyway, because usually I don't scrap them and start again. But this one actually was scrapped and I am doing it again. So hopefully it's done better this time. We're going to start today with page 25. And like I said, I'm not gonna give you another big assignment until I give you feedback on your response papers about a gift. Once that is done, then we can move on to the next one. But first, you're busy with your midterms. I'm gonna give you a small assignment to do. It's more of like an exercise, and this kind of thing is likely to appear on the exam. Like I said in the beginning, the reason this textbook is really nice is because whenever we do homework and exercises, they're really similar to what I'm going to ask you to try and do on the exam. If you can do it for homework properly, and you saw some of the examples I gave, some of you did, excellent. If you can write like that, then you're ready to do the exam and you're ready to pass the class and get an A. That's what I'm looking for. So on page 25, there is this, I think it's a, by now for me, after 10 years of using this book, it's like a classic exercise. So there's a paragraph and there's a title for the paragraph. It says, A Horrible Hotel. The instructions are: work with a partner to complete the paragraph below and make it better. First, make a list of details you could add to the paragraph. This is an imaginary place, so use your imagination. Even when this was in class, I never had people write in pairs. It just doesn't really work very well. People don't get anything done when you try and ask them to do that. We do the brainstorm thing together. Come up with as many details as many adjectives as you can of a horrible hotel. That works. The brainstorming part works in a group. And then everybody separates into their own, and heads into their, paragraph writing by themselves. It's same as what I would normally do on page 21. There's categories. Remember, I explained to you with all the colorful language there is, how deep and descriptive English is. And if you look at page 21, they just show you the tip of the iceberg there. Just looks, sounds, smells, and feels. But we could talk about attractiveness, or we could talk about descriptions of weather. We could talk about descriptions of, atmospheres, places, buildings, right? There's adjectives for everything. And you can categorize them, and then you can brainstorm as many as you can, and then you can use those words, you can apply those words in your writing. And we normally do that. We normally brainstorm some big lists and make some word maps in groups, but we are doing a sort of different format here. It doesn't work as well, but the horrible hotel definitely does. What's missing here is, first of all, you have to write a topic sentence. We've been practicing that. So you have to make a topic sentence, and then the next series of descriptive lines, you have to turn those basic simple sentences into complex sentences using transitions and conjunctions. With this, we've talked about, this is applying the lessons that I've given you the last few weeks. Once that is done, you move into your own writing. The view is terrible. But also, we can see, whatever, just move on, continue that sentence, add to it, start a new sentence, and then write through, 3 or 4 good descriptive sentences that connect well to the body of the paragraph. And then you're done. The concluding sentence is already there. That is why I want to warn you never to stay in that hotel. Okay? And so this is an imaginary hotel. It could be the Motel 6. It could be the Hilton. It doesn't really matter. It's just about description. Okay? So I would like you to do that for homework. That's the next assignment. It will be due next Friday. By next Friday, I don't mean this Friday. The date I mean is May 30th, not May 30th. The date I mean is April. I'm way ahead of myself now. What I mean is April 30th, not April 23rd. I have midterms all week this week, so I don't want to get any more assignments anyway. I have midterm exams starting tomorrow, and they finish on the 27th, so your homework is due on the 30th, okay? Some of you are probably in the conversation class as well, so that'll be good for you. Your midterm exam from conversation or British and American culture will also be done, so you can do your homework next week. It will be due for both classes, both Monday and Friday classes. It will be due April 30th, okay? Now sometimes I make typos and everything, but I'm telling you the truth right now. Listen to the video lecture, April 30th, okay? I'll post it. I'll let you hand it in anytime this week or next week, but the final day is April 30th, okay? So hand in that horrible hotel description. Okay, that's chapter 3. Thank God we're out of chapter 3 and into chapter 4. We had the same problem in the British and American class. Chapter 3 took forever. So here we are. Chapter 4 is still descriptive, but this is about a person. Okay, we're going to talk about how to describe people. Now, the thing about talking about people is people tend to react stronger to descriptions and writing about people. We have lots of different writing. Probably the most interesting writing we have is about people. Some people like fiction, some people like nonfiction. Where should I get something? Here you go. You're probably not going to like this kind of stuff, but there you go. That's a great one. The Men Who Lost America, British Leadership, the American Revolution, and the Fate of the Empire. Andrew Jackson O'Shaughnessy. Yale University Press, pretty good university. This is a book, and it's all about the things that people did. There's a certain amount of judgment, obviously, because the title itself is The Men Who Lost It. So the blame is being put on somebody, but there's basically a description of all the facts and all the events that happened during the course of that historical event. And the conclusion of it is that the leadership of the British was flawed and that they should have won it, but because the leadership was in certain respects, I'm already getting worried about people criticizing me, but there was incompetence, or there was not good enough leadership. Let's just say that. The leadership didn't meet its high standards that was required, because on the other side there was George Washington, right? And other American generals, and changing situations which they were unable to adapt to. So that leadership failed its purpose, which was to defeat the American Rebellion, and they lost. So that's a huge book, but that's the kind of thing, that's a nonfiction title. It's supposed to be as grounded as much in fact as possible. So there is, of course, a big difference between talking about a real person and somebody who's fictional, or a character who resembles somebody in real life. There's kind of a bit of mixing. You can make fictional characters that are much more like real people, more realistic fictional characters. But in the end, we have a lot of fiction to deal with, and you need to be able to distinguish between how you can write about different types of people, whether they're fictional or not. So when it comes to the non-fictional type, the real person, has a name, was born somewhere, lived and died, or is still living, you have to be a little bit sensitive to, the way you're going to talk about them. Again, this kind of comes back to what I said. Feelings and emotions and reactions have less value in being able to get your audience and your readership to understand your point. So if you're going to argue something about a person, you have to appeal to things that happened and things that they did, and in the broader situation, and how groups of people reacted to it, rather than just how you felt. That's the danger you get into. I'm in graduate school now, and there are graduate students that still can't distinguish between that. When you're just reading some sort of literature, or you're reading something and they just write down their reaction, and it's just, oh, I thought this scene was lovely and this person was really brave. That's fine, but that's just your opinion. You have to go beyond that. Yeah, you have to say the person is brave because everybody else ran away except for him. You can convince me that he's brave, right? But if you're just describing a person who's brave just because they look brave, because of your idea of braveness, they match, like they're tall and strong, and whether it's a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. They just fit your idea of what a brave person looks like, and you describe them as brave. Then you're just creating fiction. You're not really dealing with something that can be argued effectively. So we have to remember that when we're talking about people, that with people, psychology and emotions are involved, but you have to be careful about how you try to describe people that way, because you can end up just relying on your personal point of view rather than getting somebody to agree with you, which is the point, right? So how are you going to do that? This is what they suggest. Using lots of good adjectives, right? Learning how to write concluding sentences. So your topic sentence and your concluding sentence match. If there's more than just a simple description, but there's a topic sentence with an idea, and then you have supporting sentences that reinforce the topic sentence, and then there's a concluding sentence, it's probably not going to be just about your opinion and your feeling. It's going to be more directed towards an argument that you've presented. That's an easy way to fix it. That's why I keep saying topic sentences are so important. Because if you can give me a good topic sentence and you stay on that topic, then there shouldn't be any issues. Okay? So, notice there is some personal pronouns in this paragraph, and I'll explain as I go, because there's a couple students who are still wondering about this as well. Are they going to lose grades if they express their personal opinion? No. I want your opinion. I want your impressions, but I want them to be connected to facts, evidence, descriptions, actions, people, places. If you can connect your opinion to something and defend it, then you're really making an argument. You're not just giving an opinion. Okay? So, that's why we're always saying, why do you say that? Or, how did that happen? Or is there a connection between it? Or that's not very logical. That's how the discussions start. Let's figure this out. So there's a paragraph on 26. The guy's name is Jack Collins. Jack Collins is the most amazing person I've ever met. He came, and that's going to be the topic, right? He's amazing. So why is he amazing? He came to my school and talked about his difficult life in prison. Okay, that's something that happened. There's a he there, and there's a my, because this is actually an experience. So that's okay. He was in prison for 15 years. Okay, he made a lot of mistakes when he was young, but now he has changed his life. He saw a lot of violence in prison, so he uses his experience to help high school students. Jack is tall and strong. Okay, all of these are descriptive, but none of them are really subjective, right? Even though there is a subjective being used, like my and he. We're using personal pronouns here. The perspective is not subjective. He looks a little scary because he has had some spider tattoos. The thing I remember most is his sensitive personality. He really wants to help young people. I've never met anyone like Jack before. Okay. So, most amazing person I've ever met, subjective opinion. Can't be proven. Okay? The way you prove it is by showing what's in the paragraph. Is this impossible to prove? No, because you said I have ever met. But that's not a good type of paragraph to do in an academic environment, right? If I can't disprove your thesis, then we don't have anything to talk about. Jack Collins is the most amazing person in the world. Well, that's not going to be easy to prove. So that's not. Maybe the thesis should be changed, right? Jack Collins is an amazing person because then you have something more specific. Then you can have a better topic sentence. Now we have something to talk about. There's something about Jack that makes him amazing, deserving, okay? But this claim that it doesn't, that's the main problem with this paragraph, is right away, I have ever met, okay? You can defend that all day. And there's no point in arguing about that. So that's not a good topic sentence. Okay, but what is good is the support that comes right after it. He came to my school and he talked about his difficult life in prison. He was in prison for 15 years. These are facts. He made a lot of mistakes when he was young, somewhat subjective, but obviously true because he ended up in jail. But now he has changed his life. He saw a lot of violence in prison. I mean, these are sort of anecdotal moments that he's sharing, telling people his personal history, and these are things that those are things that have happened. Almost couldn't say couldn't use my past perfect very well. Those are things that have happened to him. They could have had happened, but they just happened. Okay. He also looks a little scary because he has some spider tattoos. That's pretty subjective. Are you scared of spider tattoos? Maybe. If you grew up with people who had tattoos, spider tattoos or dragons or fire or I don't know, ships or Asian characters or whatever, pictures of poison and snakes, all of those things kind of are in the same category. If it looks like he's a gangster, he looks like he's a gangster. But a young person who had never seen tattoos might feel like that's an indication. That's a personal thing. That's a personal observation there. The thing I remember most about his is his sensitive personality. Don't really have to make it personal there. You can say the thing that was most impressive about him was his sensitive personality. That's a statement. That's a stronger thing than saying the thing I remember most. Say the most impressive thing about him was his sensitive personality. Same sentence, just general perspective can be accepted from that point of view rather than saying I. He really wants us to help young people. I've never met anyone like Jack before. Right. So you got to fix the start in the beginning and then just change a couple of the sentences and make them more objective, more impersonal. And then even though all the details are fairly personal, it becomes a more appealing, more generally appealing and persuasive argument. That's all you have to do to fix up a paragraph like that. That's how you change it from one level to another so that it can be used to argue. Nobody can really argue about this. This is a young person just saying how they like a person. That's it. If you want to make an argument about if you want to make an argument about another person, then you have to raise it. You have to raise the level to make it more logical, so more people are going to observe it in the same way. And that's one of the ways you do it, by changing the language and using impersonal language. What's formal language of the academic? That's what we like to do. Okay, so you can see in B and C, they said which things talk about his personality and which things talk about his physical appearance. Both things are important, but you can add to that also what things are factual and what things relate to his experience or action, right? He came to his school. That was something that happened. That's a fact. He talked about his difficult life in prison. It's a fact. He was in prison for 15 years. That was an experience, right? He talks about facts and experiences and events, and those are very significant in connecting to his personality and his appearance. That's what really should be driving the whole paragraph, is the facts, the events in his life. Those are the things. Where did the spider tattoos come from? Does he like spiders? That has nothing to do with it then. Did he get the spider tattoos in jail because he was a member of the spider gang? Maybe that's more important. Did he get spider tattoos in jail because he had to, or it was very violent, so he needed to become part of a gang in order to survive? All of those things are relevant, but just saying spider tattoos are scary isn't really on topic, and it's a minor detail. Doesn't really support our new topic sentence, which is Jack is an amazing person because he's had such a difficult experience in his life, but he's overcome them and become a better person, right? That would be a much more complicated, more specific topic sentence, and we could use the details that we were just given and add a few more sentences to make this into a good paragraph, okay? So I hope you're starting to get how to approach these paragraphs. Like I said, a lot of these paragraphs are not really that good. They're a little bit amateur. This is supposed to be easing your way. This is supposed to be for a high school student that's approaching college writing. This is not a college writing textbook. So I have to let you know that some of these things might seem easy, but some of them are critical. And I learned them in high school, and most international students haven't. especially if you're not an English major. If you are an English major or you've been to an international school, great. And if you've studied essays already, good for you. All this stuff will be familiar and it'll just refine your ability to write a better paragraph. And then when you write real essays in composition 2 or composition 3, then you'll be ready to do them. All of the students will be ready to do them together. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words, but as I said, I already messed up this video once, like 15 minutes through. Couldn't say a word, so I'm just trying to get through it. This is why you don't do 6 in one day, apparently. So, hopefully you've understood, despite my mumbling of certain words, you've understood what I'm trying to say when you're approaching a person, how you got to be sensitive of those personal perspectives and how to write a little bit more objectively. It doesn't matter though whether you're writing about a gift, which can be a very personal thing, or about a person. The same rules apply. So the next few pages, they talk about brainstorming, and I think we're just going to skip over this because it's a kind of a group activity that we do when we're in class, just to kind of relax. So you can look it over. There's different techniques. If you've got writer's block and you don't know what to write, then just write a bunch of lists or names and ideas and circles. But ultimately, I usually find once you get down to a really good topic sentence, a paragraph should just, get on its way. And if you're stuck halfway through, just take a break and come back to it. If you're not sure what to write on in the first place, like if you just I don't know what gift should I talk about a gift I got from my parents or my friends, or a romantic gift, or a gift I didn't like, or one that I liked, or one when I was young or recent, then that's brainstorming. And you just narrow yourself down to a topic that's manageable for a paragraph, okay? So the last thing for today, you can look at those 4 pictures there of people, and you can use adjectives, whatever, serious, thoughtful, I don't know what do you think? Suggestive, playful, coy, clever. I don't know. There's lots of good and bad choices you might make. Depressed. People say all sorts of things when they look at, everybody has different ideas. That's what I mean. It's hard to convince somebody who's like, well, that person's depressed. Well, you're going to have to write something more than just showing me a picture of his face in order to prove to me that's true. But that is description of people's faces and people's emotions and their appearance. Now, that we're going to skip over that activity as well. You don't have to worry about it, but pay attention to the bottom of page 29. It says how to write concluding sentences. Basically, at the end of the paragraph, you need one sentence at least, 1 or 2, but 1 is fine, that comes back to the beginning and says something similar to what you said in the topic statement. So you can restate it with different words. Same thing, but just make a different phrase that means basically the same thing. You can summarize the main idea of the paragraph, right? A summary, right? Bring a few things together that are the important ideas that contribute to your argument. You can make a prediction. Something's going to happen related to your main idea. You can emphasize the importance of reading this thing or remembering or paying attention to the idea. You can make it into some sort of application, like this could be used for this kind of situation, or make a suggestion, give some sort of advice. Those are all ways to end a paragraph and signal that you're done without writing the end or thank you very much for reading. You don't need to sign off. You just want to finish with a statement, and that's how you do it. I added application and emphasis, but the list right there, the 4 that you get, are pretty good. Just make sure you don't start and don't add a new idea, because that's no good. That brings us to page 30 and the end of this lesson. So homework for April 30th, just write a really creepy, interesting paragraph, fill in the paragraph for a horrible hotel. Make sure you're very descriptive and there's good connections. Use proper connectors between your sentences. And that's just a pretty easy homework assignment due in 2 weeks. Other than that, good luck with your midterms and see you next weekend.